Hello, my name is Dr. Roy Paget. I'm a neuroscientist. I've been researching for the last 30 years into how the brain learns. It has been an exciting journey, full of wonder and amazement into the power of our awesome brain. My results and findings would take quite a few videos to, however, my main conclusion is that the learning process starts at birth and ends at death. The process of learning is our brain's way of dealing with the environment it finds itself in, and we learn everything. We learn how to comb our hair, how to drink without spilling it, and every little thing that we do. Each one of us have our own natural and unique way of learning. And our process and our success depends on how we and others understand this unique process. In this quest to find out in practice how this failure to understand our learning process was affecting our lives, I chose students facing their exams at 15 and who were failing miserably at school to achieve, and who found that school was an unpleasant place to be. The study was an extensive one, running over 17 years and involving over 1 million students from socially deprived areas. The task was to study the way they learned naturally, carry out an in-depth investigation into their emotional approaches to their lives and to their learning. And by doing this, we had an integrative way of how they learned, involving both style and emotions. Could we then give them learning skills which had synergy with their style of learning, that could help them understand the knowledge given to them sufficiently to lift their grades? By doing so, we had an external way of measuring success. To date, over 80% of them went up by 1 or more grades, and I'm pleased to say that many of them have continued using the approach, and I know of over 75% of them who have now achieved their PhDs in their chosen professions. So why did education fail them? From the study, the greatest number of them were visual learners. In other words, their learning process was led by their right hemisphere and not their left. Teaching in schools is largely directed to our left brain, catering for what I call ASLs, auditory sequential learners. So to the VSL, every lesson they attend was boring at the least, and often a living hell. And due to the slow way schools adopt change, there is little evidence to say that a multifaceted approach to teaching both ASLs and VSLs has been incorporated. And yet it is easy to install with little or no investment. From my colleagues across the world, this reluctance of schools to change is endemic. The result of this is that we fail 40% of our students to a life of mediocrity and often failure. A visit to prisons and young offenders institutions will clearly show what I mean. Yet the sad fact is that we need these individuals in our changing world more than ever. Another thing we often do, we often give them labels such as ADHD, for they just do not fit into the ASL world. I see the challenge of all schools is to close the yawning gap between education, what we give students, and learning, how they receive it. By doing so, we can almost eliminate adverse behavior in the classroom and get rid of teaching teachers how to control a class and concentrate their efforts on how to get students into an optimum learning state. This will nullify the attitude of getting their students on task, which will be totally redundant. We will have to take these steps to meet the challenges of our changing world in our schools. The question we must ask, if not today, when? Thank you for listening to me.